Welcome to Threads Podcast Live Unfiltered. That was maybe a little hot, but we're going to go with that today. We are a show where we talk about faith, mental health, and uncomfortable conversations, and not necessarily in that order. We're going to be doing awesome tonight. Hey, Jason, what in the world are we talking about tonight?
So tonight is episode 170, Hanging with Chris.
Ooh.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Remember that show?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about with Chris Tallon. He's an author, a podcaster. I was going to say writer. That's the same damn thing. He's a blogger. He actually blogs for our show. And so really looking forward to talking to Chris. It's been, good Lord, I didn't look it up. I had Bus brought up. It's probably been a lot of episodes. Since
I think it's been since the spring when we looked it up.
Really? That's it? Last spring?
Yeah.
Oh,
so like a year.
Seems like a lot longer ago.
COVID years are longer than normal
it's a
years.
blur. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going on with you. And you're always doing something. I saw something somewhere that you did another hunger.
Oh yeah.
Why
I actually made it to the 5th day again this time.
You did?
Yeah. Did
Holy
a
shit.
5-day fast. And I gained most of it back pretty quickly, but I lost like 11 pounds in 5 days.
Nice.
But that's just, when you're drinking all your fluids and no food going in, then your stomach completely empties itself.
Yes.
And it's kind of a weird process. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. No more information needed.
Yeah.
So speaking of hunger, do you want to start with some trivia, Jason?
That was the worst transition known to man.
There was no transition. So, Chris, we one of the things we like doing is some trivia just to get started. Again, I think it provides some cool conversations going on. So the way we'll do it is that I will read a question and you will shout your name if you think you know the answer, and then answer. If you don't say your name and say the right answer, the other person can steal it. So,
And I usually say the answer, then say Jason, and then say it again if I know it.
yes, that
I
is how
forget every time.
we almost should have a bell and like a horn for later on. Okay, you guys ready?
Yes.
Boat horns.
Is this any? Yeah.
This is random trivia because Chris says that he is a random knowledge guy. So
Okay.
we're going to go completely random. It's going to cover all sorts of gamuts of.
It's probably going to
Knowledge.
be all Broadway, Chris.
Yes.
So is that one of the things that you like is Broadway?
No, but I've seen a couple of plays.
Yeah, me
Just-
too.
Okay.
Just by virtue of I lived pretty close to the Wharton Center in East Lansing. So
Okay.
my dad was like, hey, let's go see Jesus Christ Superstar this weekend. Hey, let's go see Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, that's cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, random fact.
Good memory for you though. At least, I mean, must have had a good time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so now for the actual question. What is a duel called between three people?
Jason, orgy.
And rated explicit already.
Chris, a trial.
You know
trial?
what? You know what? It's close enough because it is a truel. Truel.
You're
So
not-
you get a point.
No
Yes,
way.
I'm giving him a point. The guest goes the honor.
That's crap.
Okay, ready for the next one is this. The unicorn is the national animal of which country?
This can't be true.
I mean, I found it on the internet. It has to be true.
This is the weirdest country in the world.
Oh, man. Yeah, I almost want to guess that guy who's got that old oil platform and declared it a sovereign nation. Geez. I don't know, Chris. Tunisia?
Nope.
Jason, China.
The answer is Scotland.
Oh,
No way.
I know,
That's
it seems kind of normal. Okay, ready. Now this one, somebody should get here. What does WWW stand for?
Jason, World Wide Web.
Ooh.
You pull that mic up a little bit closer. You can pull it up wherever you want. You don't have to lean in.
I like to lean, though.
Okay.
Okay,
You
next.
like it.
I'll just remember.
Jason, get all techie. How many teeth does an adult human have?
Chris, 28.
Jason, 32.
32 is correct.
Boom. How did I know that? I don't know.
I thought one of you was going to start counting.
That's the first number that came to head. I'm so excited about that one. I don't know.
Oh, I wasn't counting my wisdom teeth.
Oh.
I don't know.
In public places in the state of Florida, what's against the law to do when wearing a swimsuit?
Jason, shower?
Nope.
Your face. Chris.
Chris, go to the grocery store? I don't know.
Sing.
What? That's the weirdest.
So for those of you who are listening just with audio and can't see Chris's face, we encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and look at the video because that face was worth 1,000 words.
Wow, look at you,
I know.
man.
I know.
I know some weird Florida law too. It's actually
Yeah.
against the law to chain an alligator to a fire hydrant. in Florida.
Well, that's good to know. Dogs
means-
are okay, but
which
not.
means somebody has tried it at one point, right? Because otherwise, why would you make that a law?
Okay, next question. A group of ravens is known as
Chris, murder.
Nope.
What? Oh, I'm thinking
That's
of
crows. That sounded right when you said it, but then when you said
I was
no,
so
I'm
sure of myself too.
like, no idea.
unkindness.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
What is the Earth's largest continent?
The largest?
Yep.
Jason, Africa.
Nope.
Chris, Antarctica.
It's got to be Antarctica.
Asia.
Oh yeah, it's just like everything.
Okay. On the farm, what is a kid?
Jason, a goat.
Oh,
Boom. Okay. Little sports trivia. How many points did Michael Jordan score in his first NBA game?
Jason, 23.
Chris, 46.
No, the answer is 16. It's surprisingly low.
I went with this player number.
Okay. Now this is good because February, this kind of goes with that. What TV series showed the first interracial kiss on American network television?
Chris, Star Trek.
Boom. You got that
What?
correct.
Captain Kirk and oh gosh, I can't remember her name now, but yeah. It's not going to come to me.
Since Black History Month, that's fitting. That wasn't even on purpose. What was the first soft drink in space, gentlemen?
I'm going to say Jason, Diet Pepsi.
Nope.
Chris, Fanta.
Coca-Cola. I mean, it makes sense. Like that's like America's pop. I know. You really need to watch the video with Chris. This might be the one. Which monarch officially made Valentine's Day a holiday in 1537?
St. Valentine's Day? Or St. Valentine?
No, which monarch?
Oh, I don't know what a monarch is. I'm dumb.
Like a king, yeah.
Oh.
I don't know what a monarch is. I'm dumb.
That's a line. You need to pull that line.
I mean,
Henry the First.
Ooh, Henry the Eighth. You were close.
as soon as they said king, I'm like, you got to go Henry the Eighth. Wasn't he like brutal though?
I don't know. I didn't look up all the history
Don't
of
you
him.
know all the history? Of
I didn't like Google Henry the Eighth after that.
Yeah, I thought he was the one who like beheaded his wives for not giving
Right?
him sons.
Yeah. He
Probably.
was brutal, I thought. But anyways,
Which animal can be seen on the Porsche logo, or Porsche, I should say, the Porsche logo? Which animal on the Porsche logo?
the Porsche or the Ferrari?
Porsche.
It's Porsche.
It's Porsche.
You don't say
German.
It's Porsche.
If you're German.
Mon Porsche.
I didn't know there was. I can't even think of the logo.
Yeah, I
Oh.
saw a car today and it just said Porsche on the back of it.
Gazelle? Jason Gazelle?
Nope.
I didn't even know there was an animal on the logo.
I'm not gonna guess horse. I'm gonna guess like a Chris Greyhound.
You should have guessed horse.
It is a horse.
According to the internet, it
That's
is horse.
not correct. That's Ferrari.
Well, you know what? We're going
Where'd
with
you get this? This is not a .org.
You'll have to
Wrong.
fact check it and post and tell us who won in the intro.
.org for trivia. We should make a trivia site that's .gov or .org.
That would
Okay,
be
last
funny.
one. What is cynophobia or cynophobia or cynophobia? It's the fear of what?
Going to the movies. Jason going to the movies.
No.
Can I ask a question about the spelling?
Yeah.
Sure.
Is it start with an X?
Nope. It's CYNO phobia.
Oh, man, I'm trying to think of other words that have that in the beginning of them.
See, this is an advantage if you let the other person go, then you get time to think of it.
Yeah.
Chris, someone who's afraid of fruit.
I am sorry. That is wrong. It's a fear of dogs.
Oh,
It makes total sense.
Oh,
Yeah.
there is a horse in the Porsche logo. Holy shit, you're right. What is the Ferrari?
Boom. I think that's also a horse. They're probably all horses. And so is a Mustang.
Oh, sweet Jesus. It looks like the same horse. The Ferrari and the Porsche.
well, that's why.
But the question, though, didn't ask which logo had a horse.
Correct.
It said what's in the Porsche. But
Right,
yeah,
right.
no one thinks of that with the Porsche.
Wow. I was questioning the internet.
I
Oh,
know.
the logo
You're
I've seen
questioning
just
my
said Porsche,
Google
yeah.
beforehand of like, random trivia.
You don't know how to show prep.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think Chris won. I don't really know. We'll have to go back and listen to the tape, but the guest always wins if there's a question.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that BS one you gave him earlier on.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally nailed Truel.
He was like,
I will.
he was like, L. Yeah, you got it. Good job.
Started with a TR, ended with an L.
I hiccuped
call
at
it
the
good.
start. It's fine.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So, Chris, we're excited to hang out with you. And I'm excited because I think we only hang out during a fire at Ben's house. And
Yep.
I think that was only for a short time because I think you had to leave early. So I'm excited to hang out and
there
hear
was
more.
there was like 8-9 people there, so different conversations
Yeah.
constantly going on. Yeah.
So I was impressed. You seem like a really smart dude. I'm not sure why you're hanging out with Jason if
I'll
you're a
take
smart
that.
dude, but
Before we get going though, speaking of awesome, shut up. My wife has always said about you, you are the best listener ever.
Ooh.
Like every time we are around you, or like you take the time to look at the person. You never act like you're too busy. Not too busy. What am I? You know, like
Disinterested.
picking up your phone. I'm like, You know, like she just says you just you're tuned in those conversations when we're all in a group. So
Oh, that's really sweet.
yeah,
Thing to say about somebody. I appreciate
yeah.
that.
She said she's brought that
Thanks,
up
Mike.
multiple times. So
and especially when it's like 52 conversations going with 9 people.
Yeah, and most of those people I had only met once before in that situation or never before.
Yeah.
So it's,
It makes it so hard.
yeah.
So I want to get to know you a little bit because I think that'll be good. So what is new in the world of Chris or Christopher? I'm not even sure which name we're supposed to use, Christopher or Chris.
Christopher is just. I mean, it's a authory thing to use your
Okay.
full name, but Stephen King, his friends call him Steve.
Okay, sweet.
So,
we're
yeah, call me
friends now.
Chris.
We're
Yeah.
friends now.
Did you
Sweet.
see
By all
the
means.
relationship
Yeah,
between
I know.
Stephen King and Christopher Tallon?
I saw what he did there.
Okay.
That was smart. That was
Do we
Smooth.
put Stephen King in the title now?
yes. Love it.
Anyways, yeah, what's going on? You just been
Um,
podcasting like a mofo?
I've been podcasting, and my book that I've been trying to get stuff going on is finally got a date set for it. So June 3rd, the book will be out. And
Shut up. Like,
this week, I'm talking to somebody about the cover because I've been kind of going back and forth on who I might have do it.
okay.
And now I've got somebody who I really want to do it, and if they can have
So
the
like
time, they're
this
gonna do it.
June, it's going to be out
And I picked June 3rd just because I think that's like
on Monday.
a pretty. No, I think it's actually a Friday because I wanted to have it be like something. The book starts on the first day of summer in 1996
Oh,
as
okay.
school's getting out. So I wanted to have it kind of release right kind of in time with that when the book starts.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So are you just so how does that work? I'm assuming it's going on Amazon, right? Like,
Yep. I'll try to get it on Amazon. I'll try to get it into some indie bookstores. I'll talk to Barnes and Noble over here because I did a whole episode on my podcast about self-publishing with another author who's done it very successfully. You click on his Goodreads and he's got a couple hundred reviews on each of his books. So
wow.
he's moving books and he's doing it without the help of a big or a small publisher. So, yeah, I've just kind of took everything that he told me, and we still talk probably once a week or so.
Did you ever end up talking to my crazy sister?
Well, yeah, she gave me her.
Oh, we don't talk anymore. She doesn't. Look at you,
She
stop.
gave me.
No, you got to.
She gave me her book about like how to get ready to put your book out, and a lot of that information is stuff that I heard again from other people.
Okay.
So, yeah, she
She
gave
wrote
me
a book
legit-
on how to publish a book.
Mhm.
Jason, you're such a good brother.
Hey,
I know there's boundaries, which are good.
hey,
But there's a lot that goes into it. Like if people want to listen to that episode of my podcast, it's called A Beginner's Guide to Self-Publishing. And there's a lot that goes into it because you got to get cover art. You got to get somebody that not just does the front, but will do like the wraparound on the back. You got to get the book formatted the proper way. You got to get it published through KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing. You got to go through Ingram Spark so that it can get into physical bookstores. You got to get it on BNN.com. You got to go through those people. You got to promote it. You got to try to have readings and signings. And it's, one person trying to do all that instead of a publishing crew, a publicist crew.
And isn't the hardest part getting the ISBN number, or like the most important part to have it not be like Amazon's product and be your own?
Yeah, there's something to that too. But you can get, like, as I found out, you can get a couple different ISBN numbers for books, so that Kindle has theirs, and then Ingram Spark has theirs, and then that's the one that stores can order from.
Okay.
So here's a real question for us people that don't read. I just listened to a book.
What's a monarch?
Poor Jason.
I knew it was something in that kind of level of like, you're never gonna live that down. What's a monarch?
I'm dumb.
So we interviewed a guy that wrote a book about his crazy Uber stories, and he had it on Audible, and he read the whole thing. Is that something that you're going to do too?
Yeah.
Because he recorded. You have your own equipment. You can do it right from the house. I mean,
I can do it from the house, and you can actually get people for fairly cheap.
What's fairly cheap?
Probably $200.
That's pretty cheap. I was thinking 100, but I'd do it. I mean, I'd do it for 100. I don't like my voice. So.
You would read a whole book for $100.
No. I mean, I'd pay somebody to read my book.
Yeah.
But I there's I think it's called ACX. And there's a service there where basically people kind of like Fiverr or Upwork, and people just specifically are like, I read books. Here's a, kind of like my samples, and you can tell me how you want me to read it, and people
they're
can
going to do
try
it
out,
for
and you can listen to their
$200.
tryouts. Yeah,
Seems like a lot of work.
I know, for $200. So
I could be way off on that number too. So I don't want to be like married to that and have people be like, this guy doesn't know.
He doesn't know. But now I think it's cool when the author reads. Like, even there's an author of a book. He has a terrible voice. I won't mention his name. Jason and I both listened to the book. I know his voice grates me a little bit.
It didn't bother me.
But I was like, it's still better with the author. Something about the author reading it just gives it that soul that somebody else doesn't have.
If you bring up the moniker again, I'm turning this podcast on. Authenticity. I can't say words.
I can't look at you right now.
Say it, Mike. What's the word?
Authenticity.
Thank you.
Mike's dying.
Oh, anyways, I'm gonna turn my mic off now.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't mind doing it, I guess, but I don't have a background in acting or anything like that. So,
oh yeah, you're right. Your book would need that acting part of it. It's not like reading a self-help book where you're like, you don't need to be like, make noises.
Like 1 minute you're 14 years old, the next minute you're almost 40 years old.
Yeah, that's true.
Bombs falling out of the sky, and
because
everybody's freaking out and panicking.
Yeah, so this guy, I mean, obviously he wrote the book, and it, he added his own inflection because it was about him.
Yeah, and it's, with that kind of subject matter, it's more or less kind of telling stories anyway.
Storytelling. Yeah. Huh.
Sit down and let me tell you about something.
Well, I love it when people ask me to read stuff, and I have read stuff even on interviews that didn't have Audible, and I hated every minute of it. But I just fall asleep, y'all. Yeah. But anyways, when this guy said he had an Audible, and I was like, I actually paid for the book because I have an Audible account, so he got paid for it. I didn't even ask for it for free. I'm like, no, I got you. I had 2 credits, so
nice.
But yeah,
cool. So can I ask what this book is about?
All right, let me gather my thoughts here because I was just on somebody's podcast. They're like, so what's your book about? And I was like,
you need like a 60-second elevator speech on it.
Yeah, I need a good elevator.
You gotta hook it.
So, in a version of 1996 that few people remember, main character named Kurt and several of his friends get stuck in a war between people from our near future, who are using technology to travel back in time to escape what's it called? A parasitic fungus that's just basically taking out humanity. And then there's also infighting between different groups.
So kind of like a COVID.
People that have kind of a little bit more intense. Stuff grows out of your head and you it explodes and then sends spores all. It's actually based. I'll get into that in a minute. But anyway, so these kids get stuck in this war between people who are invading their time to try to escape the awful, terrible future. But when they time travel, so say you want to go back to when you were 14 at your age now, your consciousness would switch into your 14-year-old body back in that time, and your 14-year-old consciousness would now be in your body.
Ooh, that'd be very confusing for both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck reading that one.
Yeah. Well, it was a fun one to edit too, because I had a couple of writers who were like, all right, man, I'm near the end and I don't know what the fuck's going on.
They're like, yeah, we don't know. Can you explain that one better?
Like, all right, let me polish this up just a little bit.
Oh, that's so funny. I'm just so excited that it's finally happening. Like since we met, you've been working on that book and struggling to find somebody to publish it. And I'm
and
happy
talking to small publishers that are like, all right, we'll do all the things that I'm about to do for myself in exchange for 40% of all the royalties. I was like, or 40% of all the profits. Like
40. That's a little aggressive.
Yeah, and already when it goes on Kindle's taking like 30% or something like that out of it.
Yeah, and you put it on Kindle for what, like?
So then you're getting 40% or 60% of your 70% when it's all said and done.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
anything else going on? Anything else new in the world of Chris?
My podcast, it's called Creative Ops, and I just talk to different kinds of creative people. I just recently interviewed, we were talking about, well, we haven't gotten into it yet on the show, but I stopped smoking cannabis for a while. But then my last person that I interviewed was the owner of the only locally owned and operated cannabis dispensary in Grand Rapids.
Okay.
So,
I mean, did you go meet him?
Yeah. I went to, it's the place is Farmhouse Wellness, and they've got actually, I don't know if everybody knows this, but they've got the house that is the store, and then they also own the house next door, and that's like the break house. So we did it in there in his office, which was more or less like a living room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice. That's cool. So you probably smoked after that one, right?
No.
Oh, good for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah. Didn't smoke before, during, or after. And
it's funny. I stopped too because I go in spurts. I'll go 6 months without it, and then I start again.
Yeah.
But then I was randomly gonna take a job with the USPS, the Postal Service.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. You kind of know. In the winter, I get jittery. Like I was like, I don't know. Should I find a full-time job that I work all year round? So I applied.
Especially you, because you're working like doing physical stuff too. So when you're not getting all that physical activity, and you're just sitting here with your thoughts like,
it's a recipe for disaster. I mean, it's been better this winter because I've been working out a lot. So,
dude, I see you running all the time, man. You got the tights now and everything.
Oh, the winter tights. Got to have the winter tights.
Yeah, man.
I've been running past your house. That's kind of my route because I have to run on Ivan Rest because a lot of the trails, the Kent trails are covered in snow.
I actually just ran today, and they're not too bad, but there's a couple spots where you got to.
Oh, they're not too bad. I actually appreciate you telling me because I don't know until you get over there.
2-3 spots on the whole thing between the warehouse and.
Okay, so, that's good to know. But anyway, so my first route starts by your house, and then I head out, and I did 8 yesterday.
Oh wow!
We were training for the Riverbank run, which is middle of May or something like that. So.
And it's always historically on the worst weather day of the month.
It's never great. And May should be we should be out of that sketch. I mean, there's been snow, sleet. It's been, 80 degrees and 30 degrees. So I don't know where I was going.
Okay, you had stopped smoking.
Oh, I'd stopped
cannabis.
smoking. Yeah, and then I was like, the freaking Postal Service still tests for cannabis, and it says you have to be a year away from it. So I wasn't quite a year, but I was just going to go with it. Had been at least 2 months. I'm like, I know it's out of my system. I'm like, how are they going to check for a year? But so then through that whole process, I didn't, and then I haven't done it since. But
yeah, but I mean, how are they going to? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's like I've heard allegedly that some people go to the recruiter's office to go into the military, and they're like, "You smoke weed? Yeah. Have you smoked weed more than 3 times? Yeah. No, you haven't. Oh, okay. No, I haven't.
Oh, really? Yeah. I was like, yeah, I smoked 3 minutes ago.
They're like, you know what? We don't care. Just say you didn't, and we're good.
Well, if they actually do test if the Postal Service does drug test you, I never got that far. I accepted the job. I was going to go in for training. They fingerprinted me. I did the whole 9 yards. And
unless they test your beard hair, then there's no way out of it.
That's true. That's true.
Because that beard hair is old.
It is old. But yeah, they only want, now, don't get me wrong, y'all. Don't get me wrong. Don't give me hate. It was $19.50 an hour to start. I'm like, okay, that's not bad, but the median income was $50. I'm like, between both my jobs, I make more than that, and then I get all this time off in the winter. I was like, yeah, I decided not to do it. They weren't happy with me.
Oh, because you got that far, and then backed
because
out.
They were all. Because I mean, everyone's struggling to get people in the door.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that story really doesn't make a lot of sense. It's more minutia about weed.
So
moving on.
And we're not even high.
Chris,
no,
I know.
At all.
One of the things that Jason and I have to start to do is in friendships, there's some tension that pops up. And we thought it'd be cool. Maybe if you had some grievances that you could air with Jason, you guys could discuss and maybe hash out any tensions. I think there was one time I came to record and there was some tension going on between you two.
Yeah.
And I figure, what a better place than the podcast to air it. Now,
well, it's actually good that you're here too, because this involves you a little bit. I don't know if you know. I don't know if you're aware.
No.
Oh.
So I'm just throwing it out there as a disclaimer. If you don't want to talk about it or it's too sensitive around whatever it is, I always do. Mike and I kind of have that agreement. If it's airing of the grievances, if it's bad enough, let's talk about it off podcast, and then we can. I
don't think it's anything that's too terrible. And I mean, you and I, we already settled
pretty much.
We already pretty much settled that first one. But then it kind of came around again when things that happened on the show and big changes on the show. And you're just like, I'm not ready to hear that right now. But so it started with, he was like, hey man, do you want to run a half marathon with me? And I was like, sure. And then he just kind of ghosted me. And then I was like, hey, we still doing that? He's like, no, I'm doing it with my other friend now. I'm like, oh,
Jason, Gerald.
Hey, I apologize for that.
Yeah, and we got over that.
We did.
And we got over that one. But I mentioned that again, just kind of like pushing his buttons, not realizing that like he was in a emotionally sensitive spot. And he kind of was like, you know what? Screw you, buddy.
Yeah, I basically told him, F off. I don't want you on the show. Because you kept pushing me. And I was just like, you weren't quite getting it. And didn't I send some voice messages? Because my tone probably was not great. Well, I thought you would pick up on it. You know, it's always like read the room, right?
Yeah.
And so I was kind of a dick, and I felt so bad about it. I circled back. I don't know, the next day I think I did, or maybe that night. I don't know. I felt really bad.
Later that day or the next day. But yeah, both of us were like, yeah, that was.
We both kind of.
We were both effed on that one.
So Chris and I kind of struggle because Chris, I'm
a loosey-goosey creative weirdo.
Yeah. So like everyone knows artists are like that. And it's not the weirdo part. It's just you're just kind of aloof, let's say. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's why you're so good at what you do. That's why I can't say authenticity.
You said it.
I think
high five.
I think it's because I get nervous and then when I try to say it, but I didn't there and I said it. I'm so happy. But I mean, I am type A, so how did it originally? I feel like we need to set it up a little bit better. Do you remember how originally, like, why it was something before the Riverbank run, though?
There was something that, and we went out and we talked about it. We got tacos and we talked about it, and we were cool again. Well, actually, I think that might have been when we squashed that whole thing. When we were like, okay, you know what, man? Yeah, you know.
Well, basically, Chris doesn't like to bug people. That's part of it. And so
I was a very hyperactive kid, and I've heard a lot of people, you're really annoying. So part of me is like, you know what? I'm just not going to bring things up, and I'm just going to be like, you know what? They said it one time. I'm not going to bug them.
That's trauma, because like my sister's the same way. She's got an eating disorder because of that, because they said, you're annoying, you're too loud, and she always tried to get small, and it turned into a freaking eating disorder at 40 some odd, still dealing with it. So so Chris would not remind me of stuff, and I would forget, and it's my fault for not writing it down. And so anyways, so we've kind of worked on that, and hopefully it'll get better. I know I haven't been the best friend.
And well, no, you've been fine, man. Like everybody's got their shit too. Like we don't talk a lot about your shit, your personal stuff, but I've listened to the show and I've heard a lot of it, and I was like, wow. This guy has really got it together for where he's come from. So I'm going to give him some leeway on, getting mad when I am pushing his buttons to be like, hey, buddy.
Honestly, in that moment, it was because of the Ben thing.
Yeah.
I've been working really hard to know that,
sure.
Chris is just, I think he's messing around. I don't know. But you caught me at like the worst time I've had in like a year, or if not more. So, but no, I just I feel bad for what happened, not just then, but just in general, not being the best friend. And you don't call me out on it, and I wish you would. And again, that's the same thing, right? Like, all
right, I'll call you on it right now. When I say, hey man, let's hang out sometime, you got to be like, not right now, but how about this day?
Okay. Ooh. We need to set dates.
Yeah.
I love hanging out. Like I love, but just like
every time though I get it, and he's like, oh dude, I just want to relax right now.
But he'll be like randomly, he'll be like, hey, you want to go for a walk in 20 minutes?
Okay.
That doesn't work for Jason. Jason likes to plan stuff. So I should say, no, but let's do this at another date.
Yeah.
And you, Chris, don't want to push it back because he said no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then instead I'll just be sitting there going like,
you'll sulk.
Is he going to say no every time? Is this just his way of like pushing me away? Am I just being annoying again?
No, no, you're not. You're not annoying.
So Jason's
most of the time. I know that I am for sure.
Well,
sometimes.
We all are. Yeah,
I do it on purpose sometimes.
You're annoying. I'm an asshole, and he's a dick. So
that's true.
The trio,
the unholy triumvirate.
Yeah. What's a trio called?
A truel.
A truel. Yeah. All right. The truel. Bring it.
We'll have a truel to the death at the end of this.
So, are there any other grievances like hanging out here? I'm just looking at
Mike's trying to cause trouble.
I know. I'm trying to cause some more like.
I don't think so. I mean, that was just a general. I mean,
but it's good though, right? You guys are learning. Like again, to you, Jason, you're like, no, not right now, and thinking it's not a big deal.
What happened with the Riverbank thing is when I quote unquote ghosted him. I'm like, honestly, I was like, he's aloof. He's probably not training. He's not doing it, and you weren't. That was true.
But I had asked him a couple times if he wanted to run with me, and he was like, no.
Well,
Jason doesn't run with people.
So
yeah, I know.
so
he explained it to me. He's like, it's not you, man. It's me.
Before it really is, because I can't run with people. Like, I just can't. I don't know what it is.
That's your time.
And we don't run together either.
Nope.
Even if we were at the same pace, I don't think we would. I don't know.
Something about running, like when we ruck, I'm fine with somebody. But but running, something about running, I don't want anyone around. Like I thought about
you said ruck. I thought at first you said rock, like
rucking.
Like you get together and you jam out. Or
something. Yeah.
You got all excited. Didn't you?
You're like, yeah, we can do that.
Are you a musician?
But then, like even in Holland, there's a running club. I thought about joining it, but I'm like, I think I would just get pissed off that somebody was just there with me.
Yeah.
Well, somehow running is just a solo thing.
I
to
wouldn't
me.
mind it if it was like a super slow pace and there was no, like, I'm so goal oriented. I'm like, this is a training run. We do nothing else but this training run. Like for me to go out just for a run, it seems insane. And maybe that I could do a run with you when there's no goal in mind. Like I need to focus on this.
Like recovery run.
Yeah, next time you do your first recovery run, we can go.
Well, see, the recovery runs are still focused for me because I have a tendency to go too fast. So I mentally have to say, slow down, Jason. Slow down.
Okay.
No, I mean your first recovery run, like next time you finish an event and you're like, I need to get out and do like an easy 2 miles.
Gotcha. Okay.
There you go.
We do easy, quick 2 miles.
Easy, quick.
Well, I mean, 2 miles when compared to doing like 10 to 15 or however many you've been running, 2 is nothing.
Yeah.
And I mean, too easy. There's something true about that. Like at a slow pace, at like 10 minutes a mile for you.
Slow. I need to be in the 11s.
Okay. So 11 minutes a mile.
Yeah.
Call up Chris.
All right.
Boom. We solved world peace right there. They should call us into, never mind. Not going to go there. It's not funny. Anyways. So Chris, you had mentioned, and I'm interested in this because I work at a church.
Yeah.
Jason had just mentioned. So again, you're going to have to tell me and our listeners about family and Christians and you and your wife coming out and saying, we aren't Christians and then shunning you. Can you talk about this? Because I find this interesting.
And before that, he hasn't really talked a lot about this. I mean, I think the rocky part of our relationship is when I tried to take him to church and he just did not like that. Ooh. Do you remember that?
I didn't mind going to church, but okay. What happened sounded like really bad and it sounded like I was being a huge asshole, but I was just trying to get my wife to, they passed around the collection basket. And then when it comes to us, my wife starts reading, and I go, no, don't put any money in there. And like Jason and Megan are like, Dick?
No, that did not happen. In fact, I hate the passing of the plate, and the church we go to now doesn't do it.
But I said it like because I was just kind of surprised that she was doing it because like we're visitors. You don't. No, when you come to visit someplace, I don't think they expect you.
Correct.
To do that.
Correct.
100%.
So and I was just kind of doing like I was kind of being like, hey, but it was like right there, and she was like. I was like, what are you doing? Don't give him any money.
I actually don't remember that happening live.
Okay.
He told me about it later.
Oh, you don't even remember that? Oh, good. Because I thought for sure the way I said it, I was instantly like, ooh, that didn't sound good.
No. I was probably, dude, you've heard a lot of my shows. I was so anxious for Sundays. I probably was in my own head anxious about shit at the time. So I didn't even notice, but I just wanted to mention that. I hate the passing of the plate, dude. I totally agree with you. And Alive does not do that. And I love it.
One of the things since COVID, a lot of churches now just do like boxes in the back, like ours does too now. We don't pass it and we don't do that. It
seemed like that. I don't know. Maybe they're worried people wouldn't give if you didn't have like
they all do. And that you had to make that jump is very scary to a church to go to that. But our church started that from the beginning, and everyone still gives the normal way.
Because I always thought, just have a box and
I do it online. It's automatic. I don't even have to do anything.
Or now in the age of just Venmo the church. Yeah.
But if you guys want to know staff meetings of church, when we went to those boxes, we had a lot of meetings about those boxes.
I'm sure you did.
And how we would do that, and it is quite the ordeal. So
changing anything, I'm sure
there's meetings upon
it's like government, lots of bureaucracy and
there's just meetings of what was this person gonna think? How are we gonna do this? So anyways,
let's put a committee together to figure out how we might do that.
Yes,
let's put a committee together to figure out the committee.
There we go.
All right, so tell us about the whole shunning, and you don't have to tell me why you don't want religion. That doesn't, we don't care.
Okay, I mean, I'm not against religion. It just doesn't, for me, it doesn't bring me that sense of like peace and like, this is it for me. But I totally get it when people are like, hey man, this means everything to me. It makes my life a lot better. I'm like, great. Yeah. But then if that person's like, are you Christian? I'm like, no. Oh, well, I don't think we can be friends. Are you interested in becoming Christian? Like, So yeah, but no, as far as like with some of my in-laws, some of them are cool, some of them are really not. They were, hey, how come you're not going to church? You should be going to church. You should go to church. And then finally my wife was like, we just, we're into the ideas, but we're just the foundations and the my dad, we grew up Catholic, and he went to a Catholic school, and he kind of lost the faith a long time ago. He's like, the Christian voodoo part of it.
Yeah.
That's what he called it. I was like, I don't know. But I don't know. I'm for somebody who writes fiction, I should be able to suspend my disbelief. But
you don't have to prove anything.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like it's all good. Like in a Christian that's a legit Christian should be like, hey, I really wish you would, but I get it, man. I get it.
And some of them just, when we come over, they'll like start playing Christian music and start talking about Christian things.
Really?
Or, we've had someone just like, why can't you just do this? Why can't you just believe it? I'm like,
somebody said that to you?
Yeah.
So were you and your wife always open with her family, or did it kind of like grow as like you were just longer? You're just like, this is who we are. Okay.
Yeah. Because she grew up, in a faith-based home, went to private schools, and pretty much was like, yeah. And then kind of got out of West Michigan for a couple of years and was like, oh, you know what? I don't have this constant like reminder being like, this is what we do. This is what we do. This is what we do. Kind of just thought about it, and I was like, I don't know if this is for me.
And then you guys kind of maybe not hit it, but did you guys just not tell her family because you knew it would be?
We just
avoid the awkward.
Like, how do you guys going to church? We're like,
thinking about
it. Not really.
Yeah.
Do you want a water? Are you good?
I still got some Fresca, but I'll take a water.
I'll get you one. You can pause.
If you're getting up. But I don't know. We can keep going too. It'll only be a second.
Wow, it's gonna take him a long time. Look at how far he's running over there in this huge studio that we have.
Dun, 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 dun. Thanks, sir. But yeah, so, and then we've had a couple of friends that also grew up in that background with her. Sorry, I was way far from like.
No, you're good.
We also had some friends that grew up in the heavy CRC background.
Yeah.
And we kind of told them like, hey, we're kind of backing away from all of that, but we don't think less of people that believe. We hope you don't think less of us. And they were just kind of like, yeah, I think maybe we're just not gonna like expose our kids to you guys.
Like people actually said that out loud.
How did that conversation come up? Like, I'm curious. Like, how did you say that?
Actually, it came up too because they also didn't like that I'm pretty open with people that they're like, hey, do you drink? I'm like, no, I don't drink, but I smoke cannabis sometimes. And they're like,
well, that's a lot of people are like that.
But I think I talked about it on my podcast one time, and they're like, hey, you should be more.
Oh, those people said that because they listened to the episode?
Even though they allegedly use it too, but they, don't want people to know and have people think, oh, well, we don't want our kids hanging out with their kids. And so
the religion is more detrimental to their kids, you being non-religious, than the cannabis is. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think the cannabis thing opened up the conversation, but then it was that on top of also not having the same beliefs. It was like, well, that's just too much.
Really? And they actually said those words.
Yeah, we've had a couple of people tell us just straight up like, you're going to go to hell. Kind of, more or less just kind of like wringing their hands. What's wrong with you? Why can't you?
And then shunning and saying, yeah, we're not going to hang out.
Yeah. And then
so frustrated.
Not getting invited to things or being communicated to through other people instead of just being called directly or messaged directly.
Oh, man, I'm ticked.
You don't need them anyways. I mean, clearly they're losers.
Well, that's the thing though. It's like they're family. They're good people. They just have different. An idea about religion that is kind of. That's why I was asking you earlier about. I thought you were saying xenophobic.
Oh, okay.
Instead of cyanophobic.
Yeah.
Xenophobic is just the fear of people who are different, and I don't know within that group of a much bigger church. There's just kind of seems to be this attitude of like, if they're not Christians, convert them. If you can't convert them, don't waste your time.
See, and Jason and I have talked a little bit, and like that just ticks me off because like the way of Jesus, the way like again I read
who
scripture,
dined with the sinners, and why are you eating with those people? Like, these people I already believe.
Yeah, he'd be hanging out with the drunkens and the gluttons, but he just hung out with people, and he calls, like, as Jason are talking about, like the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control. I probably missed one in there.
There's a song about it too.
Yeah.
Have you heard-
Yes.
Yeah, there's a whole song.
Peace, patience, love, self-control.
But I mean, this whole idea, and I'm like, but those people aren't showing that to you. They aren't living that way. Like, I think Christians should be the most gracious, open door people. And I understand we aren't.
I hope so. And a lot of people are too.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's the thing, is like when we've talked before, I felt like I was putting off a kind of like just shitting on Christianity as a whole. And I don't mean to ever do that, because
Well, it's shitty a lot of times.
I mean,
I haven't been to church in 2 years.
You can
so.
say that about a lot of things though too. You know, there's some people that only want to hang out with people that are the same race, some people that only want to hang out with people that have the same political ideas, some people that only want to hang out with people that have the same church affiliations, religious affiliations.
But in some of those areas, I get. Like, I don't get. And again, I think this is part of a huge process for me. So you're gonna just get my unfiltered with this.
Yeah, I'm really interested.
I understand why, like, if you have this, if you're leaning right and you only want to hang out with people who are leaning right, but like Christians, like literally, we are built on, and the first Christians were the most hospitable people in the Roman world. Like, that is why they grew, is because they were the ones there. And now we've gotten 2,000 years away, and we have people like, yeah, I don't want to hang out with you because you don't go to church. And it's like, what in the crap? Like, I think the early Christians would have called them out and been like, yo, this is not the way of Jesus. Like,
yeah,
like what are you doing? And they might actually have excluded them, been like, you are like doing this falsely. Anyways, it just.
But here's the problem. Everyone's like that. So how do you break it? It's like you talk about the offering, like how hard it was to change that. If everyone in the Hudsonville or Granville or Jenison area is like that, how do you break that?
One person at a time.
One person at a time.
Yeah, or the people just leave and go form their own church.
Well, we talked about it. The
Church of Jason and Mike. Watch out, world.
I'm not speaking on behalf of all CRC churches, but I know some of the ones that I've seen that are like, you know, kind of more traditional older services. Seems like you don't see a lot of young people in those anymore. They're fleeing for the big non-denominational churches, or
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But man, when Jason said that, I was like, that sucks. And so I'm sorry that's happened to you.
Yeah.
Because that's just not the way of Jesus.
Well, I feel worse for my wife, because, you know, it's
her
not my family
parents,
that's like rejecting me in any way. So it's kind of like, well, that sucks, but you know, at least it's not my family. But for my wife, that's.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about setting up a boundary of, you know, hey?
Oh yeah, we have.
Okay, so we want to come over, but if we talk about Christianity and that, we're gonna leave.
Yeah, and we've had to do that. Coming like, listen, we're not doing this. We'll.
Other than that part of it, are they okay to hang out with? They seem to be.
Yeah,
I mean, in general,
like, nobody's just like downright mean, but you can tell that it's anywhere from like pity to disappointment to
okay,
even maybe just a little upset, even, you know.
Well, and then especially if it's like this underhanded, hey, let's start our playlist that we had set up for tonight.
That's weird.
Or our kids will get Christian like books and stuff from family, and it's like,
what it sounds like is you need to take a shit on them on video and send it to them.
Or be like Jason and set up some really strong boundaries, though, right? And that's some stuff like, no, we aren't going to do that. And
that's something I need to do just in general, I think, is set more boundaries. Be like, I don't like the way that this is going right now, instead of just being like, I think we might leave soon.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, now our boundary was hard. We basically said, we're not seeing you ever again.
Yeah.
And that's tough. That's super hard. But man, it was such a relief to be like, I don't need your toxicity anymore, because you feel obligated, because it's your family and stuff like that. And you know, it's tough to do. It's super hard to do, but once you do it, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
well, I feel like I've left not a lot, but a few relationships kind of let them go, if not had a direct like, this is over kind of a moment. But especially since I started podcasting, which thanks for, you know,
dude, I'm
pushing me into it.
I'm so happy for you, because I feel like that's you finally, I mean, not that writing a book is hard, right? And look at the process you've gone through, but like, this is an outlet for you to be creative. Like, all of a sudden you're passionate about something going on. You're like, you know what? I'm recording a show. Like I got to get this out to the people. And so
I can make my stupid little 30-second songs and put them on the show.
You're having fun with it. And I'm proud of you for keep going. Like a lot of people pod fade. And I honestly thought you were gonna. I
thought I might too for a little while.
Yeah. And I like how you've rolled with it. You know, if you take a month off, you take a month off. Like it's totally fine.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great outlet for you, especially when you're like.
But I've made a ton of friends too. Like,
dude,
one of the authors in Maine that I interviewed, his name is Joshua Marcella, very talented writer. If anyone's interested, like I said, we talk probably once a week or so. I've got a friend in Grand Rapids that I interviewed on the show now that we hang out probably at least once, sometimes twice a week.
Nice.
And so,
the connections are incredible.
I've met a lot of people who are creative, and we, just kind of feed on each other's vibes, and some relationships that were questionable or just, were there because they'd been there for a while, started to kind of move away.
Yeah. Well, thanks for keeping me. I know I'm a pain in the ass, so
he did not boundary you out yet.
Not yet.
No, because you're a lot like me. When your temper goes, almost immediately that it's like, that wasn't good.
Oh, one thing I've learned of you said it earlier. Fucking up a lot is I fucked up a lot. So I had to learn how to correct now. And I don't circle back just because I'm like, oh, sorry. You know what I mean? Like I genuinely mean it. I won't say it if I don't mean it. I'm like, I am so sorry.
You deserve that. I stand by it.
No, you just won't hear from me. And it doesn't happen very often because usually it's my fault.
Yeah.
So I've really tried to focus on the repair, the circle back and repair.
I very much value this friendship. So
okay.
It would take more than just man, I'm having a bad day. Go F yourself.
Which that's the first time I think I've ever said that to you. So I mean, we're doing pretty good after like 4 or 5 years.
So something that you've said that sticks out to me is, because I think I tend to be this way too, is with boundaries. Instead of just setting them, I'll just kind of like slowly pull away.
Yeah.
How come, like, even as you've reflected, why is it so hard to set those boundaries with people and be like, actually, this is the way that you have to treat me because I'm worth.
Probably the same thing that comes from like not wanting to push people on things because I'm that fear of being annoying. I'm sure it's all, just trying to like kind of stay small, stay in your lane, and then, look for the exits when you can.
Well, honestly, that brings up a good point. Mike, as how the hell do you find a good therapist? And I know you're not currently going, but recently in the last year,
I kind of want to try cognitive behavioral therapy just to like move, because the whole thing that I was talking to about the other guy was like, how my past experiences being like very, very, very bad in school affect my self-image now and the things that I'm trying to do. And I feel like we pretty quickly kind of like we're like, okay, that's obviously not the thing, so we can move past that. But now I want to try to like maximize the way that I think, the way that I operate, because I usually only do the podcast, do the writing and blogging, whatever else, between like 10 o'clock in the morning and 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 to 5 days a week. So I got to try to be as productive as possible, which is part of the not smoking as much, stopping for a couple of weeks on the weed. Just because anytime I smoked during the day at all of a sudden everything just like slowed down. I wasn't nearly as productive. And I was like, oh, I'm not even done with the first thing I was going to do today. And it's time to be like getting ready to get kids back in the house.
Yeah.
So what you said, you want to try CBD? No, again, the weed, CBT. What therapists did you
Cognitive behavioral therapy?
Yeah, but what did you go to before? I thought that was like the standard, the CBT.
It's common. It's very common.
Oh, okay.
I think it was just like normal, like talk psychoanalytical therapy.
Interesting.
But yeah, we didn't really focus a whole lot on the what you can do as well. But then again, writing blogs for Threads, he started going down the list of like things that I can do like to de-stress and focus. And I was like, oh yeah, I wrote a blog about that. And he's like, oh, okay. So you know about that. Have you tried this? I'm like, yeah, I wrote a blog about that too.
Oh, so yeah, I know what to do, sir.
Yeah.
I'm just not doing it.
Yep.
But it made me think about the therapist question is just you having that trying to be small and not trying to bother people. Like that shit you got to work through because that will make your life so much better.
Yeah.
Which I believe is not CBT though. Because I think they stay at what are the tools you can do. That's my understanding.
Could be. I don't know.
I feel a lot better about just the things that I'm doing just because, by the virtue of the podcast that I have, I've built a really big connection of creative people who are very encouraging, whether they're writers or podcasters or something else. They're just very, very, very encouraging. And, I didn't have that before, because before it was, all the people that I hung out with were like in management, and
that's such a good point. So, so you feel like your mental health has gotten better because of just being able to connect with more people.
Yeah. Well,
That's
cool. I'd said before I started the podcast to my wife, I was like, I just wish I knew more creative people that
now you got like,
that I could go and talk to and call up and be like, hey, I'm doing this thing, but it's not working out. What do you think? And now I have that.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So with a therapist, Jason, how did you find your therapist?
That's actually a really good question. We've been together for like
it was kind of like dating, right? You went like one I didn't like, one you didn't like.
I think I really do think that's what it was, but I'm sure I got a referral somewhere. But I said we'd been together because like we haven't broke up yet.
Yeah.
It's been probably 4 or 5 years with her. Like, I mean, I went through with her.
That's her second longest relationship, probably, right?
Yeah. Yes.
He just pays her.
Right. Yeah. He just pays her. No, that's called hookers. No, I went through for her not being able to have kids and struggling to now she has a 2-year-old daughter, and like it worked. And so like I've been through a lot of stuff with her, but I think honestly, there's really I would say get a referral first from some of your friends, but that can always not be great either. Because, you and I aren't alike. So someone that I might like, you may be like, yeah, this isn't for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And someone's like, hey, we got 5 more minutes to talk. You'd be like, nope, our time is over. We got to go.
Right. So I would say go for a referral first from one of your friends, which but it's better than going like and doing that. But that's really the only way. And then trial by error.
Yeah. I think for me, it was because it was more of an acute thing happened. And the pastor at the time of my church had kind of gone through an acute thing. And he is like, this person was awesome. So I'd recommend this person. Somebody else had told me this other person. So there's a couple I'd encourage you to call them. So that's how it took for me with somebody else. And then trying to see if like I actually liked the person and could talk to the person.
And I think people don't want to do therapy is because it would be hard to try someone out, do like 6 sessions, tell them your life story, and then you're like, never mind, this isn't working out. And then go do it again. So some people either stay with a therapist that doesn't work, spending all this money and time, or just say, you know what, I'm not trying again, and then don't go back.
Yeah.
So while you went for recently in the last year, right?
Yeah. When the weather was still kind of warm. Yeah.
Okay. And then decided to stop, or
I said, I just kind of feel like what I needed wasn't in line with like the direct treatment that I was getting. And I got some benefit out of it because, we talked about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was in tears talking to this guy the first time, but then a couple times into it, it was just kind of like,
well, what are you looking for?
I think,
that's a hard thing to answer, by the way.
I think cognitive behavioral therapy, because at this point, I really just want to be like not on Adderall or any ADD thing, but still be like as efficient with the way that I work.
But I don't know if that's possible because that's a mental deficiency.
Not with that attitude.
No, I'm serious because like I'm taking 2 anti-anxiety, I guess they would be called, medicines, and I've felt so much better. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to get off them. Like I feel like I'm feeling better, and I know Adderall's rough.
Yeah, I took it when I was in college. Prescription. I wasn't like buying it. The guy in the back row.
Yeah.
But and I took it and I was like, wow, this is great. I'm getting so much stuff done. And then when I was like, I think I'm going to back off now that I'm not on the intense college schedule anymore. And I started feeling like I can't do anything now.
Yeah.
I can't do it. And I've heard a lot of people say that that's really common. So I just didn't want to get stuck in that cycle of being like, I need this drug.
But but you are on it now though?
Nope.
Oh, I thought you said you were on it.
I was on it when I was.
Are you on any ADD meds?
Nope. Not since I graduated like when I was 28 or 29 from college.
So you're looking to get back on some of those meds?
I don't think so. I want to I just want to get as close to that like maximum efficiency of just like,
but so
I'm gonna work on this. I'm going to work on this. I'm not going to get distracted and get caught up doing that.
But then that goes back to my same thing. ADD and all that stuff, that is a mental thing. Like there's a chemical imbalance there that, you know what I mean? So I guess I wouldn't be anti-med about it.
I don't want to be anti-med about it. I mean, I still get stuff done now. I just want to be a little bit more tuned up.
But it's tough for creative people to be that way.
So because I'm in this battle because I still haven't gone for looking with medicine, but I feel like a lot of my adulthood is the ADD. But I'm afraid of the medicine messing with how being creative, because again, I think my creativity is like, oh, there's this idea and this idea and this idea, and they somehow mash together, and I'm afraid I'll lose that.
Yeah,
I didn't feel like I lost it. I just felt like once I had an idea in my head,
it was getting
stayed
done
there
It
unless
just
I
stayed
was
there.
like, I'm done with this idea now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So
Because as a neurodivergent person, which, you know, ADD or a couple other ones too, I think I'll qualify as neurodivergent. Your brain doesn't work in a linear fashion. I'll just switch words. There you go.
authenticity.
Instead of thinking like one thought all the way through, you'll start thinking, and then you'll go, oh, that's kind of like this. Oh, that's kind of like this.
Okay.
Maybe we could get to this and try that back in here instead of
Wait, so I have to ask this question.
ABC.
For you, when he's saying like the off, is that like, oh, that is, or are you able to think in a straight line?
See, he actually, when he describes it, I feel like I'm going off.
I'm so off the way, but with Natalie, so that's my wife, she says like she can just think through a project all the way through. I'm like, what the hell is that like?
I have a really hard time just being like, I'm not getting up from here until this is done.
And
Like,
it
"No, I'm
goes-
gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna try
when you
something else."
described that's what the meds did, that was the first time I ever heard it. I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it keeps you on task, but I never thought about like, oh, so you're not bouncing like this.
You can
You're
make
just
the
going-
choice.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But I didn't feel like it made me less creative. I wrote a lot of what I thought was pretty good writing on it when I was in school, you know, as an English major.
Huh.
okay.
So
Oh,
maybe it
huh.
actually helped you be more creative because you could stay on the topic of that you're on.
I wouldn't say more creative, but definitely got more work done.
Focused creative.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is I'm not peer pressuring you to take meds, but what would it be like just to trial it out?
If it was something besides Adderall specifically, because
Yes.
Adderall has a pretty high percentage of people that actually develop a mental illness as a direct result of taking the
Yes, Adderall is hardcore.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's basically amphetamines.
yes, legal amphetamines. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I wouldn't recommend
Well,
that.
and there's like,
But there's other ones too. Like, I don't think Ritalin is
no,
an amphetamine.
I don't even think do they even do Ritalin anymore?
Yeah. It's
Oh,
just
really?
not as highly prescribed.
Okay.
and there's other ones that are not as crazy. when I
Or
was
maybe
looking
you go to
Yeah, because there's an amphetamine class and then a non-amphetamine class.
maybe you go get some skills, not a therapist per se, but
Mm-hmm.
someone that can give you some skills that deal with ADD without the meds and see if that works.
Well,
right?
yeah, that kind of can help you realize, like, oh, my brain is doing this thing now. This is how I can bring it
Keep
back.
it on track.
Instead of being like, I just need to go for a walk and think about this other thing. for a
Ugh,
minute."
yeah.
Yeah.
that's
See,
incredible.
for me, it has. I mean, we're getting way off, but for me, it has been a list. It's not just write a chapter of a book. It'd be like write the first paragraph, like a checklist of like, so that my brain constantly is brought back to the little steps. Because I find out like I can't just do one big checklist. Like I have to do like small little parts of each task. Because always my brain is like,
Well, I was gonna say he's kind of organized the podcast, and what he does
for
is
the folders, yeah.
for the folders in the drive, and he's got this huge checklist. And to me, that seems like you're not all over the place. You're like, look at how
No,
organized
but
Mike
the reason
is.
why I do that is because otherwise I would start 50 different things
Me.
and
I-
never finish any of them.
Yeah.
No, I start 50. I finish 4.
Yeah.
I finish at least some of them.
Yeah.
The,
So-
the podcast gets up on Friday, but all the other shit probably
Yeah.
doesn't get done.
So I think this kind of goes into, you mentioned a couple times, like you stopped weed for a bit, and I feel like with you know all the different things, like how has that played into it? What exactly made you decide to stop for a little bit?
Well, and the alcohol too.
And
So
alcohol.
I
alcohol
want
is kind of just, I hadn't drank in a while. Like, I think I might have drank on Thanksgiving Day at a family thing, and just was like, I don't like drinking at family things because I always end up just drinking more than I should because I feel like kind of weird, not a place. and-
families. Yeah. Well,
so
yeah,
was
that's
just
why I
like,
want-
I'll just not drink. And when we were like, I don't like this anymore, we'll leave, and that's what we've been doing now.
Yeah, because I wanted to have a drink with you if you were, but then I was like, I don't know, because you didn't quite come say that you had a problem with it. So that's why I opted not to. But
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to, it's probably good for, and maybe you've talked about it on your show to clarify.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
if you think you do,
define a problem.
Well-
like, no, I was like, I don't think I'm going to drink anymore, and I haven't drank anything in the.
well, that's not a problem, because if it was a problem, you would have issues.
Yeah,
not
and
doing
I've been a couple places where I was like, maybe I'll get a glass of wine. Nah, and it just as
Yeah.
fast as the idea comes, I'm like, nah.
So for the alcohol, was it more of you just realized you were using it in those like awkward family times just to not feel it?
Having maybe too many drinks in places where I was just like, I don't like where I am right now, so I'll just drink until I don't care anymore.
Exactly, it works.
But yeah, when I drink, I don't sleep at all that night. I feel like garbage the next day.
Yep.
So I was just like, I'm just gonna see how I feel if I don't drink for. I think originally I was gonna say I'm not gonna drink for the rest of the year. So basically just December, and then after December, I was like, I really don't feel like having one anymore.
So what about the cannabis then? Because that was
that one was too. I was like, okay, if I'm doing this at all during the week, whenever let's see, 2 to 3 hours after you use it, you just are like kind of walking through wet cement. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I don't think that it necessarily stops my ability to do the creative stuff that I do, but I definitely do it slower.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll be like, ooh, this is a good idea. And then look back at it later, be like, wasn't that good of an idea? And I actually did a solo episode about whether or not cannabis makes you more creative. And my conclusion, spoiler alert, was that it can make you more creative, but using it and then trying to be creative isn't optimal.
Okay. Ooh. So basically you're saying it spontaneously can make you creative, but if you smoke it and then say, hey, I got to go be creative.
One of the studies that I looked at said that people who smoke cannabis are typically just more open to try new things.
Yeah.
So, you can argue there's a link or there's not, but
that's interesting. You brought it up though. You said it can make you more creative, but you found when you smoke it and then try to go, okay, I need to be creative. I need to write part of my book or a podcast. You're like, yeah, that doesn't.
It'll happen real slow, or it's just doesn't feel like the ideas are coming out fully formed. So I was like, I'm just going to take as much time, however long it was, a couple weeks, I don't really know, and not do it at all and just see what happens. See if I feel more clear-headed, see if I get more done, see if it's easier to not snack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the answer was pretty much yes to all those things.
So with mental health, we've talked about mental health. Do you think weed and alcohol were helping or hurting your mental health for you?
I'm sure that alcohol doesn't help me at all. Like, I'm not trying to tell people you're bad if you drink and you shouldn't.
No.
But alcohol, like by definition, is basically poison to your body.
Yeah.
Any amount.
There's no benefit to me. I mean, they'd say, "Oh, a glass of wine a day." Yeah, screw off. Like there ain't nothing good in alcohol at all.
Yeah. So just on that alone, I was like, I'm good. That can't be good for my body or my mind in any capacity.
To a poison poured down your throat.
I mean, it's fun as hell when you're partying, though, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But
I'd always been more like, I'd rather smoke a joint out back with a couple people and then just chill at the party than sit there and drink at the party.
Oh, see, I'm a big drinker.
Yeah. Which has made me popular though, because they're like, hey, he hasn't been drinking. He's driving.
Yeah. I'm high as that AF, but yeah, okay. We'll get there, but it'll be real slow.
Yeah.
So
he has to give me directions the entire way too, because woo.
So obviously the alcohol wasn't good for your mental health, but what about the cannabis? Because that's been linked to a lot of anxiety, PTSD, that kind of stuff, especially for veterans.
Well, yeah. I think that can be like anything that has a medicinal use to it.
Mm-hmm.
If you do it too much, then
just like the water we talked about.
Just if you drink too much water, it can kill you.
It'll kill you.
But I got a medical card because I had a recurring injury that in my ankle, and I get lots of just everything from my ankle to my knee, and now my hip's not that great either, and I got a little bit of muscle loss around the knee. So I was having a lot of inflammation and a lot of pain, and the whole time I was in the military and a lot of time afterwards, I was just taking ibuprofen like crazy. Putting ice on stuff after any kind of just slight exercise. And I had heard somebody say, cannabis is actually a really good anti-inflammatory as well, and also helps with pain. So I was like, oh, I'll try some of that before I run, instead of either sometimes I would pre-pop an ibuprofen right before I ran. Yeah,
I may have done that at my last half marathon. Don't you remember?
No. Oh yes.
Because I forgot it. No.
Is it
a headache,
or is it your?
I think it was my IT band. And Natalie had to give me water and meds.
I thought it was a headache, but that makes more sense. That was your IT band.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't overly paying attention to you.
Yeah,
before
obviously.
the half marathon.
Obviously.
Worried about not dying. But anyways, sorry.
So yeah, no, but I found that, if I smoked before I went for a long run, I wouldn't get that inflammation and I could still, ice afterwards. But then, I'm like, wow, I don't go through a bottle of ibuprofen a month anymore. That's pretty good because that stuff's not great for your insides.
Yeah.
And then I would use it to also, kind of like take the edge off after a long day or on the weekend, something like that. Kind of like some people would have a drink, because I actually found too, through some of the studies I did for it, that one of the things that cannabis does is it actually stops your brain from producing anxiety hormone.
Okay.
But if you do that too much, then when you stop using it, then all that stuff comes in and you're like, I don't know how to deal with any of this.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I got to get off the weed until I don't feel super anxious anymore whenever I'm not, haven't used it for a day or two.
So you were to that point where you felt anxious when you didn't smoke.
If I had gone more than a couple days, yeah.
Okay.
And now are you back using it just for, like, if you had?
Yeah, if I'm hanging out with somebody and they're like, hey man, you want to smoke? Sure.
Yeah. So you're not using it for anxiety control.
No.
Okay. What are you doing for that?
Processing my emotions.
Being healthy.
I was waiting for what you were going to say.
Processing my emotions, talking with people, and
okay.
Yeah, my wife's a really good listener as well, and I've got some friends that I talk to who've dealt with various mental health issues, and they're like, yeah man, give me a call anytime. So
cool.
So what I'm finding interesting, I don't know if you've heard, I'm sure you have, of the Burning Man conferences that happen out west.
Burning Man Festival?
Yeah. Burning Man.
It's not a conference, Mike.
Festival, sorry.
It's lots of drugs.
I'm sure. But I mean, but it's so interesting though.
Conference sounds way too official for people that are half naked.
I work at church. But I mean, but there's this whole thing of where they're trying to get to the feeling quickly of what, like, meditation will get you to. So it's interesting, like, as somebody who works in a church, and it's like, there's spiritual practices that will get you into a flow state or like just this peaceful feeling, and yet we're trying to do it with drugs. And I don't know which one, but it's just interesting too with the weed though. You're just saying, like, sometimes that edge off, and yet a Christian would say, try meditation or try.
Well, I think a balance of both would be good.
Yeah.
Like smoking a little weed and then doing some meditation can be huge.
Well, and I've definitely done that before. Smoked a little bit and then just had some time to myself and been like, why do I feel this way about this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, and it's just so interesting because you talked about earlier, some of your family who's Christians, like drinking alcohol, no one would bat an eye at.
Right.
In a church.
It's usually, there's usually a decent amount of it out at, the big family gatherings.
But again, smoking weed, everyone would bat an eye at. And again, I've never smoked weed, but I'm like, smoking weed is way less, it's not poison like alcohol. Yeah. But no one bats an eye at alcohol.
Well, it's just because of the stigma. And in 50 years, when we're dead, our kids will be like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I know.
Like, they'll be going to the store.
I won't name names because not all my friends smoke pot, but, I could tell you people who are doing pretty well, by the average socioeconomic markers.
Yeah.
And they're regular users.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like people that use it regularly are just, live in their mom's basement until they're 40. And
exactly.
Well, my guess is there was propaganda back in the 70s about how it makes you into a stoner and you can't do anything.
Even back before that, the Reefer Madness movie they made in like the 40s or 50s, and like, if you smoke marijuana one time, you can go completely insane. It's like,
well, what about the whole Dare kids? Megan was a Dare kid.
And, I still got a Dare shirt.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important for other drugs, but I mean, she had to get over that stigma too. When I started using, like, there were a lot of conversations that went on.
And again, I understand it when you're talking with kids and their brains are forming. Like,
for sure,
you should probably be careful with that. But like, it's just interesting to me, like the Christians, again, that's why I haven't smoked weed. But like, let's say I told somebody from my church I smoked weed versus I drank.
Oh, you'd be fired.
Drink alcohol. They'd be much more mad that I smoked weed. I'm like, that first of all, it's more natural. And again, it can take off the edge in a much safer way than alcohol, and it's not literally poisoning my body.
Right. And it can actually do some good things for your body.
Well. So it's just interesting, as you talk about that with mental health too, of like, how could it help with faith?
Well, there's a balance of all of it.
Yeah.
Like if you use weed too much, it's not helping your mental health.
If you have a bad day, you can't just come right home and be like, I need to smoke right now.
Well,
sometimes you got to be like, I got to figure this stuff out. And then once I get to a better place, then I'll smoke.
Well, obviously, too, if you bake yourself, you're not helping anybody. You're just baked. You're not figuring shit out. You're too far gone that you can't figure it out.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is I was getting a pretty good tolerance to the point where other people were like, "Oh, do you still smoking that?" I'm like, "Oh, are you guys good?"
Yeah, and that becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So, well, this has been a great conversation. I feel like we could talk a long time, but any final thoughts that you feel like, have you learned anything about Chris?
I think I want to hang out with Chris more.
We need a new place for bonfire. So right now I'm the token bonfire place. So
there you go.
There you go.
Or you can come out to Holland for once in your life.
You know what? We're not driving out there. We talked about you got to pack a lunch.
I don't pack a lunch on the way here.
Yeah. Do you
50 times a week that I come here?
Cool
You got a
place for
designated
fires?
driver.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris, let's go.
I do have a cool place for fires.
Well, yeah. Well, why don't you invite me?
You wouldn't come because you said
it's right
Holland's
there.
too far away.
No, I would come.
You just got to give him a little bit of time.
Yeah, lots
I
of
gotta
time.
plan.
Heads up.
I got a plan. You can't
Bug him. I got to keep bugging him, right?
Well, don't bug me. Just a reminder would be nice. So, how can people connect with you, Chris, if they want to be on your podcast or
Listen.
or listen?
Well, yeah, on social media at Tallon Writes, Tallon Writes, and ChristopherTallon.com, Tallon with 2 L's. And the podcast is Creative Ops. You can find it through the website, or should be just about every podcast platform.
But go to the website. What's
yeah.
the website? Well, creativeops.com, right?
Well, the Podbean one is creativeops.podbean.com, but there's also links to it through ChristopherTallon.com as well.
Okay, cool. Well, guys, as for us, if you really want to talk to us,
Facebook group.
yes,
Join that.
Join the Facebook group.
Do it.
It's so funny. That's something that you might want to think about. I don't know, you've been over a year.
I have thought about that too, but part of me is like, what if nobody joins?
Well, here's the thing. Like, we should have started that from the beginning, even for our gig
so you
show.
could have been building it the whole time. Yeah.
We had a page, but this is a group where everyone can chime in and have fun. And so, yeah, we started one of those. And then, of course, the newsletter. Is that going to be?
It's coming up Monday.
You got it all done?
It's coming up Monday. It's good.
I just had an epiphany that tomorrow's the last day.
Well, and really by the time people listen to this, already be out. Already have hit their mailbox.
Touche.
Yeah.
So sign up for that. You can go to threadspodcast.com. And we are hosting all our episodes there now, too. So if you want an old episode, just go to threadspodcast.com, click on episodes. So, and as always, guys, keep the faith, do your work, and live life unfiltered.
Woo!
Woo woo!